Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 6 of From the Studio. I'm your host, Corey Riggs, and happy to welcome you into our MC22 studios, and so thankful that you're joining us once again. In this episode, we have another outstanding pair of guests to share with all of you. And for the first time, we're going to have a single theme running throughout our show, a shared topic or category, if you will. That topic is high school sports and activities. Our first guest is the executive director of the Missouri State High School Activities Association, and as such has played a major role in trying to help student athletes whose seasons have been lost to COVID-19 this spring get some opportunities maybe this summer. Dr. Kerwin Urhan will join us first. Then to continue this topic, we'll visit with Josh Scott, the athletic director for Springfield Public Schools, the largest school district in the state. Josh will describe how his schools will be utilizing that freedom that MSHSAA is granting high school students this summer. And if we have a little time, we might even talk a little basketball too. If you want to reach out to us to give us topics you'd like to see on the show or guests we should reach out to, send us a message on Twitter at FromTheStudio22. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned. Dr. Kerwin Urhan joins us from the studio after this.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
As COVID-19 impacts our community, Metro Appliances and More continues to serve you. Although our showroom is closed, our business is open. Live chat on our website or call the store and speak to an appliance expert. Metro Appliances and More is committed to serving you safely. Even in uncertain times, Blue Current remains open to serve you. At Blue Current, almost all services can be completed from your mobile device in the safety of your own home. Visit our website for details or download our app. Blue Current is committed to building better communities together.
Welcome back to From the Studio, everybody. Corey Riggs now joined by our first guest. He is the executive director of the Missouri State High School Activities Association, a post he has held since July 1st of 2006. Dr. Kerwin Urhan joins us on From the Studio. Kerwin, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Corey. Thanks for the opportunity to be with you today.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. So many people during this quarantine time have found different ways to fill their time, either learning a new instrument or maybe learning to speak another language. Have you picked up a new hobby?
I really haven't picked up a new hobby. I have taken the time to work out every day and try to get myself back into some type of shape other than round. So we're working at it.
You stole my line. I was going to say the only shape I am is round, so I can appreciate that. Well, thank you for talking to us today. Let me take you back to March of this year. Show Me Showdown for classes 1, 2, and 3 boys and girls basketball was set to be held here at JQH Arena, an event that has huge crowds year in and year out, whether it's in Columbia or Springfield. We were set and expecting huge crowds again, and then all of a sudden as the event begins, we start to see stories come out of the NBA about the coronavirus. We start to see other events canceled. And now that you're a few weeks removed from it, when you look back on that first day, that Thursday of the event, what stands out in your mind and your memory about the event?
It was just very surreal as it occurred, Corey. We were at the Black Sheep restaurant eating supper on Wednesday night and just getting prepared, gearing up for the weekend, excited about the weekend. And we hear the NBA is shut down. And then we start hearing other things are shutting down. And we're like, oh my, are we going to be able to do this or not? And we had a conference call scheduled at 9:30 on Thursday morning with the Greene County Health Department to get input from them to find out what was happening. And at that point, we learned that they were going to restrict us to 150 people per school in attendance. And when you look at last year, we had over 28,000 people come to the first weekend. It was just difficult to think about that for the kids. But I will tell you, as the weekend progressed, we got more and more nervous about whether or not we were even going to get to finish what we had started for the weekend. So every time the phone rang or an email came in, I'm like, is this going to be what shuts us down? And so when we got to the last game and finished up the last game of the weekend, it was just a relief to know that those kids had an opportunity to go out and play. And, we left the arena that weekend with hopes that we could do the same thing for the class 4-5, even though it was with limited attendance. We were going to take and try to do that for the big schools, to have that finals and get that experience. And we learned real quickly on Sunday that they were going to restrict gatherings down to 50, or even went as low as down to 10. And we knew the writing was on the wall. And then Missouri State contacted us to tell us what they were dealing with on Monday, and we had no other option but to shut her down.
Now, I assume in that weekend you probably thought in your time as executive director that canceling the Class 4 and 5 weekend would probably be the hardest thing you would have to do. But instead, this virus doesn't give up. It doesn't go away. We continue to see the numbers rise in the state of Missouri. You guys kind of held out as long as you could, but eventually you had to cancel spring sports as well.
Corey, you look at it, in some aspects, it was an easy decision because it was what we had to do for society and to protect the kids. That being said, we never, ever want to take opportunities away from kids to go out and play. And even though it's the right thing to do, so you have to do it, it just rips your heart out because that those kids they're never going to get that opportunity back. And unfortunately, that's what life throws at us sometimes. And the thing that sports and activities teach us is that we have to be able to get up the next day and put one foot in front of the other. And so we're trying to take it as a learning opportunity, and hopefully we will get back to some normalcy. But I will tell you, I'm concerned about what the fall is going to look like.
Well, before we get to the fall, let's talk about the summer. I have always said in the times that I have had the pleasure of working with you and your staff that there is no lengths that you all will not go to ensure the best possible outcome for your student athletes and the kids in band and theater and every activity there is across the state. So what has Misha done this summer to try and give student athletes, especially seniors, some chances this summer?
The summer rules basically restrict the number of contact days you can have during the summer with your sports, as well as the sports and activities have to do a 9-day dead period. I asked the board at the April board meeting to grant relief of both of those bylaws to make that optional for schools on whether or not they use contact days or just simply do as much as they want, simply because they're not going to have had that opportunity to work with kids throughout the spring of this year. I've also made it optional for schools on whether or not they want to do a nine-day dead week during the summer, simply because they're going to probably miss part of the summer anyways due to the restrictions put in place by the health departments. And so the board did take that action to grant relief of both of those. The other aspect of it is, under the rules, schools can organize teams and play against one another during the summer, but it's for enrolled students only. So therefore, I asked the board to grant relief of that bylaw to allow the 2020 graduates to participate on those teams this summer. So if a school, say they want to have a baseball game against, say Willard wants to play Kickapoo in a baseball game, they could, if they wanted to, they could schedule that and allow those seniors of 2020 to actually play with them in that contest during the summer. Just trying to give them an opportunity to have some closure, to maybe do a senior night for a baseball player. If a conference wants to have a track meet, they could do so as well. But that all is dependent upon what the local guidelines, state guidelines, federal guidelines are on social distancing. Right now, groups no greater than 10. Well, it's kind of hard to play a baseball game with 10, unless you're playing Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're playing some Indian ball. But the thing is that we want to give that guidance to our schools to let them prepare in case the opportunity did present itself. And we're hoping that does happen so that those students do get some closure. So bands can have a band camp this summer and work on what they need to work on and do those things together. And they're not having to worry about a dead period during the summer to make those things happen. So
Well, I think
that's kind of what we try to do for summer.
I think that's outstanding. I think I would almost guarantee a lot of kids are going to take advantage of that opportunity, and there will be a lot of people wanting to thank you for it when it's all said and done. We've got about 2 minutes remaining here. I wanted to get to one final question. You mentioned the fall and not knowing what the landscape would look like. Nobody's got a crystal ball. One thing we do know that's changing as far as the Missouri State High School Activities Association and their member institutions is classifications. Kind of walk me through as quickly as you can, because I know it's kind of a deep dive, through how the classification system for the schools in the state will change in the fall.
The major change is on how we're dealing with non-public and charter schools in the state. There will no longer be a multiplier in place across the board for all kids at those schools. That will be looked at on a program by program basis and look at what they've done during the championships over the last 6 years. If they won a district, then they will get 1 point. If they finish going into the Final Four and they finish third or fourth, then they'll have 2 points. If they get second place, they'll get 3. If they win a state championship, they will get 4 points for that sport alone. So, example, Springfield Catholic, their boys soccer program has won state title and state title and state title. So for those 3 years, they would have 12 points because the most you can get is 4 points in a year. So they won 3 state titles in a row. That's 12 points. And so the boys soccer team will be adjusted on their classification, and say that the girls softball team has not even won a district over the last 6 years. Where their raw enrollment is, that is where they will be classified at, and that's where they'll compete at next year.
So for schools that have had a recent history of success, they will maybe find themselves moving up a classification. For those schools that have been struggling, the opportunity maybe to fall down a classification and play a different set of teams then.
Correct. Whenever you look at what the multiplier did for many of the non-public schools, it moved them up a classification. Because of that, if you go back to the raw enrollment, they actually will look at falling down a class, being in a lower classification. It's basically set up to look at how that program is doing going through the championships. And if they're continuously winning and advancing into championships, then they're going to move up 1 class, or they could even move up 2 classifications in that program for that sport.
Always trying to improve the outcomes and the experiences for kids across the state of Missouri. Dr. Kerwin Erhan has been our guest. Kerwin, thank you for the time. Stay safe up there, okay?
Thanks, Corey. You as well.
Thank you. Dr. Kerwin Erhan joins us from the studio. We'll be back with more after this.
Find your next car at ReliableSuperstore.com. Reliable Superstore is here to help with Toyota, BMW, Lexus, and Audi. Need service? Take advantage of our pickup and delivery. Reliable Superstore is here for you. Renew Crew is open and providing free in-person and virtual estimates for all your deck cleaning needs. Their team takes all precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Give Renew Crew a call today.
Hi, I'm Judy Ballou, your host for Dishing It Up. I invite you to join me every week as we watch some of the Ozarks' favorite chefs come into the demonstration kitchen at Metro Appliances and More and prepare some of their favorite dishes.
This is fun for TV.
You
do sweet and savory together all the time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Watch Dishing It Up on channel 722 in high definition.
Welcome back once again to From the Studio, everybody, here on MC22. Our next guest is the athletic director for Springfield Public Schools here in the city of Springfield. He is Josh Scott. Josh, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Corey. Appreciate the opportunity.
No, we look forward to talking to you every time. How has working from home been for you during this quarantine spring?
Well, I feel like I have led a prison break here. I've been in the office the last couple of days doing things, but I was telling someone working from home was kind of fun and neat when it first started, but I'm really missing that balance between where work should stop and where home life should start. So I'm pretty anxious to get things back to normal.
I am right there with you. I've accomplished one goal, which is I got a haircut today, which I feel like a new man. Now, if I could just get a ball game or a race or something under my belt, I'd be feeling pretty good. But let me start by taking you back to March. We had Dr. Kerwin Erhan on earlier. We started talking about Show Me Showdown. When you look back on that weekend now, getting Class 1, 2, and 3 in, unable to get Class 4 and 5 in, but the links that everybody went through, from taking temperatures of student athletes, limiting to the number of fans. What stands out in your mind about how that weekend came together?
You know, I think it was just the extraordinary work that the MSHA staff and the workers, the athletic office over at JQH, the health departments in Springfield and Greene County, the way everybody worked together. That's an important weekend for our city. It's an important weekend for those athletes that qualified for the Final Four. And if you remember, Corey, I don't know if we're going to get into it, but our Kickapoo Chiefs were playing in a quarterfinal game up in Bolivar. And, you know, we had to go through some different opportunities. Like everyone had to be there at a certain time, had to walk in at the same time, had 60 total people that were allowed to come in, and then the doors closed. It was kind of a surreal environment, but I just applaud the work. And I don't envy Kerwin and MSHA, because it seems like these days, every time you make a decision and make an announcement, new information comes right after that decision comes out, which makes you look a little foolish. So I'm proud of the city. I'm proud of MSU. I'm proud of MSHA, and I'm just excited we afforded all of those kids that opportunity one last time.
The folks at Mercy Health as well, Mercy Sports Medicine, did an incredible job working with the teams, the student athletes, and the organizers. You mentioned the Kickapoo Chiefs. Where does this season now end up as far as the record books go, with them making it to the Final Four but not being able to contest that final state semifinal and championship or third place game? So how will this Chiefs team be recognized in the record book, if you will?
It's a strange time. I think MSHA is going to come out with a Final Four state medal, which I don't know, kind of a neat thing about our state series is when I was fortunate enough to go to the Final Four back in 1996, the medal they're giving out today is the same medal that I received in 1996. So this will be a new medal. I'm not sure if it's the first time, but I feel bad for those kids. Those boys, man, Corey, they were playing great when it went down to it. If you look at the fact of your last three games, you beat Nixa, then Joplin, and then you beat Rockbridge. The way they were shooting, the way they were gelling, Coach McHenry, his coaching staff did an outstanding job. I think they'll be remembered as obviously an opportunity lost, but the positives are we qualified. I mean, how would those kids feel if we didn't get the opportunity to play that quarterfinal game? You know, there's a ton of what ifs. At least now we know we were one of the best four teams in Missouri.
The basketball players on the boys and girls side in the state, Class 1, 2, and 3 got to play to fruition. Class 4 and 5 cut just a couple of games short, but that pales in comparison to what the spring athletes have had to endure this year, with no spring sports really to speak of, no spring championships. Talk to me about what you, Marty Marsh, and the team at Springfield Public Schools is trying to put together for this summer, maybe to kind of give a send-off to the seniors for Springfield Public Schools now that MSHA has laxed those contact rules for the summer.
Yeah, it's kind of was kind of cruel for those poor kids. You know, you get about 5 to 10 days in. Some of the sports actually had a jamboree, so they were able to get a little taste of what was to come, and then we lost everything. So Marty and I had started trying to figure out how can we do something for our senior athletes. And, whether it was the MSHA policies changing or it's kind of going back to the days when there used to be a Southwest Missouri soccer all-star game, we're kind of putting a little switch on that. And we have a baseball and a soccer game set up for all SPS senior athletes that played spring baseball and spring soccer. So we're going to have a girls soccer game at Kickapoo. We're going to have a boys baseball game at the new Central Turf Field that was just finished. And we're going to give an opportunity to get out under the lights, have a senior night, announce the kids' names, and do the best we can to recreate what senior night should have been for them. It won't be the same, but it's the best that we can do right now. And then we've added a tennis tournament, a golf match, and a track meet. And for those, just for numbers' sake, we've invited the other Ozark Conference schools and Bolivar to come out if they can, in order to compete and run and just have that one more opportunity. We want to put them in our jersey, put them under the lights, and let them have a little bit of fun.
I cannot think of a better location. You mentioned playing the baseball event at Central. You had 3 seniors at Central that had waited their entire careers for a chance to play on a field that was actually their own. And they, I think, only got to practice on it maybe once or twice. So this will be their one and only chance to play on it come July. And I just can't think of a better ending to a story than that.
No, we're excited for that field. If you're next time you're over there around the Cooper Complex area, down Pythian, just drive down and look at it. It's beautiful. It's heartbreaking. We were going to be able to play on there this year. We were almost to a point to get the kids on every day, and all of this happened. So hopefully that just made it a no-brainer to play this game there.
One of the things I wanted to ask you in light of my conversation with Dr. Kerwin Erhan earlier is about the new classification system. I know a lot of it will have to kind of focus on the private schools and taking away that multiplier, but what sort of effect do you think it's going to have on your 5 schools here inside the city?
So it's going to be interesting. Things like this, are hard to predict. I'm sure there are coaches out there that have a whiteboard up and have done nothing over the pandemic but try to figure out who's going where and success factor and all of these things. But, it's such a complex situation when you talk about how many teams are in that given sport, how many classes are in that given sport. We have a couple of our schools that are going to verge on dropping down possibly a level, where they could be one of the larger classes in a larger schools in a smaller class. Yeah. But, depending on the sport, that could be a positive or a negative. It just all depends on where those other schools get bumped up to or who gets bumped down. So really it's kind of a waiting game, see what happens and just kind of get after it whenever the season starts.
Josh, I've got time for one more question. We've got about 90 seconds left. You all in the middle of all of this gave everybody a little ray of hope with an announcement the other day talking about you have set the field for the next Bass Pro Shops Tournament of Champions that's held at JQH Arena each year. Give me just a quick Cliff Notes version of what basketball fans can expect when Bass Pro's Tournament of Champions comes back to town.
Well, we're excited. We've got a big-time field coming in. 4 of our 8 teams, Corey, are in the top 12 in the way too early preseason poll for next year. We have the number 2 team coming in, and Sunrise Christian, the number 4 team, a first-time entry with IMG, and they are just unbelievably loaded. We have Bishop Gorman coming in, who is about ready to go for their 10th consecutive state championship in Nevada, which would be a national record. And we have Pace Academy out of Georgia coming in. Then we have the Schmed out of St. Louis, who I think will be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in Missouri next year. And Kickapoo and Greenwood are coming back after the shows that they put on last year. It made it obvious choices for us. So we are really, really excited with the field that we have coming in. And I left out Philadelphia Roman Catholic. Sorry, trying to go a little bit too fast. they were a past winner of the Tournament of Champions back in the 80s.
Well, it's going to be a jam-packed field. I know the local basketball fans circle those days on the calendar every year and appreciate the work you, Marty, and everybody over in your office does to put that on. Josh, thank you for the time today. I look forward to seeing you in a press box or out in the stands somewhere here real soon, my friend.
Yes, sir. I can't wait. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you. Josh Scott joins us. We'll be back and wrap up from the studio after this.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
At Orange Leaf, we're still swirling, just doing it a little different. Both Springfield Orange Leaf locations are open, offering crew-serve carryouts, party box catering, curbside pickup, and delivery. At Orange Leaf, we're all about making life sweeter.
Kevin here once again for Seeger Toyota of St. Robert. Our service department still has drop-off and pickup available after hours, and pickup and delivery for you locally if you need assistance. We will make sure your vehicle is sanitized before being returned to you as well. That's from your friends at Seeger Toyota of St. Robert. We are here for you.
Well, that'll just about do it for this episode of From the Studio. Remember, you can follow the show on Twitter at FromTheStudio22, or you can follow me at Corey Riggs TV. Please feel free to send us your questions, guest or topic ideas, and more. As we move into what the experts are calling the recovery phase now, we try to push back this cloud that has been COVID-19. We can't forget that there are people and groups out there that need us now more than ever. Anyone and everyone can try to do just one small thing for somebody else, and that one small thing can have the power to completely change someone's day. Heck, just this past weekend, my family and I were coming home. It was lunchtime, so we stopped. We're sitting in the drive-thru awaiting our food order. I get to the window to pay, and our meal had already been paid for by another patron in front of us. The concept of paying it forward is still alive and well here in the Show Me state. You can pay it forward like that person at the drive-thru did for me and my family, or you can go one step further and donate to one of the great many organizations, not-for-profit organizations, that are across the state. One example is Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Ozarks. I've been wearing their logo lapel pin this entire show. They're a great organization with a simple but powerful vision that all youth achieve their full potential. You can donate on the website at bigbro.com, or if you can't make a financial donation, maybe you could look into signing up to become someone's big brother or big sister, or maybe even their lunch buddy. When you have a moment, take a look. Our final thank yous now go out to our guests, starting with Dr. Kerwin Urhan from the Missouri State High School Activities Association and Springfield Public Schools Athletic Director Josh Scott. And thanks to all of you for watching. Until next time, for our MC22 crew, I'm Corey Riggs saying so long from the studio.